Hello and welcome to eOption. Today we are going to cover a strategy of placing a stop order. We're going to go over how to place a stop order for both a stock and an option. There are a couple reasons why you would want to place a stop, and I will also describe the risks of placing a stop order. So first, we're in our test account at eOption. In our account that's in front of us, we have currently 4 positions. We have 2 stocks and 2 options. So let's go over first what a stop order would and what it entails. Typically, a person will place a stop order to either prevent to try to prevent a loss or to protect a potential gain if you have a large gain in a position. It's not a foolproof strategy, but it's something that can get you out of a position at a certain point. Some people may mathematically choose a percentage. You can also pick a certain number of points below where the position is currently trading. So, for example, one of the positions on the screen, we have Intel. Looks like the opening price is 31.35. We're up about 20 cents on this. So, according to the screen, and if you wanted to say, well, if Intel gets to 30, I want to get out. For whatever reason, you think it's maybe going to continue to decline and you want to stop your losses there. Now, where a stop where it could work is just because you put in a stop at 30 doesn't necessarily mean it is going to fill there. The stock could gap down overnight, let's say from a bad earnings call or bad news announcement. In those particular cases, a stop order could trade well below through whatever stop number that you place on it. So for example, if you put your stop in at 30 on Intel, and it opens at 25 due to a devastating news article or earnings report, your stop will execute at the lower price. There's also, I will go over, there are 2 types of stop orders. There is a stop and a stop limit, and I will show you both examples with the 2 stock positions first, and then we will go into options. So firstly, let's go into Intel, and probably the easiest way to place a stop order is to click on the position, the actual symbol on your positions page. Let me go back out, go to positions and orders. You can see you have your positions up top, your orders in the bottom. You can sort them alphabetically, which I'll do right there. So let's start with Intel. So we have 100 shares of Intel. You can see it's currently trading around 31.40. We're going to change the order type from market to a stop. Then at that point, you want to put in your stop or your trigger price of 30. Duration, if we put it in just for the day, it will only work for today until the close. Stops do not work in extended hours. Extended hour trading is only for regular limit orders. So a stop will only work during the regular session, regardless if you select day or good till cancel. In this case, we're going to put it in good till cancel. So when everything looks good, you have your position of Intel, you have order type stop, your stop price, everything looks good. You would then click sell, and you will get a verification screen, once again, giving you a chance to review it. We're going to put in to sell 100 shares of Intel that we own at a stop price of $30, good till cancel, and we will hit trade. Okay, Now, the next question is where will that order show up? If you go to your active orders, it would show as an active order. Down at the bottom, active will only show, by filtering this, will only show what orders you have working. So right now we have an active order to sell, obviously the Intel at a stop price of $30. The second type of stop order is called a stop limit. Now, right now, the type of order we have at 30 is if Intel trades at 30 or less, it will release what's called a market order wherever it's trading. So hopefully if it gradually goes down to 30, it should execute roughly around the stop price. In the example I mentioned earlier, where if it gaps down overnight to, let's say, 25, that is where it would execute unless you have a stop limit in place. So for Apple, what we will do is I will place a stop limit. So again, we will click Apple. We have 100 shares. We're going to this time place what's called a stop limit. Now, Apple's currently trading around 155. Let's set our stop price at 150. That's where it would trigger. And let's put a limit price. Typically, you will give it a little bit of room. Some people, you can place the stop and the limit as the same price, but really you kind of, when it hits 150, it will release the subsequent limit price. So in this case, let's give it, I don't know, 2 points of room. So in this particular example, if Apple goes down to 150 or less, it will, instead of releasing a market order, release an order to sell Apple at 148 or better. Now, why would you want to do this versus a regular stop? Again, if Apple had devastating news and they opened at 140, your stop would get triggered, but then you would have a limit in place to sell the stock at 148. Maybe at that point you figure that, okay, I'm going to cancel this, or you can wait until it comes back up to 148. What it does is sometimes, once in a while, you can have a spike in the market and things can recover relatively quickly. And people have been stopped out at the open. And unfortunately, different securities bounce back relatively quickly. And then you kind of you traded well through your stop prices, and you kind of sold off in maybe like a panic morning scenario. So this gives you a little bit more control over your stop, but it also will not get you out at market. So it will get you out at 148 or higher when the stop is triggered at 150. So let's place this order. We'll review it again. And as you can see, we're selling 100 shares of Apple. Our stop price is 150, and our limit price, which would release when it trades at 150 or less, will be to sell at 148 or better. So let me put that order in, and you can now see that down here on the order screen that we have instead of a stop, we have a stop limit on this. And let me go in because we don't have the limit column enabled there. So now you can see our stop limit. You can see what our limit price is and the stop price on Apple. Okay, so we've placed that order we placed for the day. At the end of the day, that one would expire, where the Intel we placed good till cancel, that will stay in pretty much good till cancel, unless they do review orders after about 12 months. And if they are well out of range, they could get canceled and you may have to re-enter. But for the most part, good till cancel, consider it good for usually at least 12 months. Okay, so then now we also have 2 option positions in the account. Placing a stop on an option is very similar to placing a stop on a stock. Again, you could click the symbol Another way you could close a position is also the select box on the right-hand side of your position page. So I'm going to use this. This is a little bit step longer. You click the box of the position you want to close. Close selected will light up in blue, and you would click that. And it will pull our AMD position, in this case, options that we have. Be very similar to, you change that to stop. We then want to place our stop on that particular option. In this case, let's put $3. This one we will put good till canceled. And then you want to just review your order, make sure it says sell to close 5, the September 80 calls. It should fill out your whole position correctly. You would then verify. And again, it's going to give you the warning that I mentioned earlier that stop orders are market orders. It's not a guaranteed execution at your stop price. We will hit trade. So one thing to note when placing a stop order, and we will try to do it on Tesla here. If you try to place a stop order and it's at the bid or higher, the system should give you a reject because it's basically an invalid stop position. So let's try to put in, let's put in 1070. Okay. As you can see, I've tried to place a stop that would be invalid. And we're getting a rejected message here. And it says the sell stop order must have a stop price less than the bid price. So that's very important. You will not be able to place a stop basically right when you buy something, right at the price that you basically bought it at, because most likely it's the bid and ask is still going to be relatively close. The stop is meant to be placed outside the current active quote. So let's go back and we'll correct this. And in this case, we're going to place a stop limit. This one we're doing on our Tesla position. We have one September 270 call. It's currently the bid as 1065, 1080. So let's put a 10 stop. And in this case, give it a little bit of wiggle room, so to speak. And this one we will put in good till canceled as well. Actually, this one we'll put in for the day. So once everything looks good on the screen, we will sell to close the one Tesla 270 call, and our stop price is $10 if it hits that price, it will release with a limit of 950 or better. And we hit trade. And that is, stop order is out there again working for the day. One other thing to note about stop orders and what triggers them. For stocks, it's going to be the last on the stock. For the option, it's going to be the last or the offer. Because options aren't necessarily as liquid as stocks where they're constantly trading and moving, an option price can move significantly, depending on the given month and strike, and it needs to trigger off of something that's valid, and they will typically trade off a last or an ask. Now, why would that be important? If you look at our Tesla position, and let's go in as if we were going to change actually, let's use the AMD. This would be how you would change your stop. So the AMD, if nothing trades and it goes down, when the ask would hit $3, that's when it would release a market order. And if the bid was 5 cents less like it is here, most likely you would sell then at $2.95 and not $3. So it would trigger off the ask. You could technically sell it at $3, but most likely it will be the 5 cents below. Tesla is a little bit different because it's got a little bit wider spread. And as you can see, it's 10 cents. I think earlier when we were placing the order, now it's even 15 cents. Just because you have your stop at 10 it could, in this particular example, if your stop was at 1065, right now you'd be selling at market, or actually in this case, a limit of 950. It would execute 10 to 15 cents below. So keep that in mind when placing a stop order for an option. The spreads could be wider, and it's not necessarily going to execute at that stop price. Again, my name is Scott Barry. I work at eOption's trade desk. If you ever have any questions, feel free to call one of us on the trade desk, and we'd be more than helpful and walking you through on how to place a stop order on either a stock or an option position in your account. Thank you.